It's time for an Arizona Fall League preview here on the call up. Aram Layton, Jack McMullen. It's a lot of fun rosters as we get ready for the Fall League. It's crazy. Minor league season winding down here. We would really just have the postseason now across a couple levels. But I'm looking forward to breaking these down because there's a couple rosters we're going to talk about. I don't know if we're going to get to the most loaded today or not, but there's a couple that are crazy loaded, but a lot of intrigue as the Arizona Fall League always offers the blend of really good young players that had great years that you want to see more of, and guys who have been hurt that you haven't been able to see that you want to see more of. And the theme is you get to see more of these players.
100%. Unfortunately, we are not getting to the roster that includes Daniel Espino, but that's okay. We can push forward. Actually, we might be getting to the roster that includes Daniel Espino. No, it does not look like we are. But no, man. I mean, this is a nice blend where you get the number one prospect in baseball and Kevin McGonigal going out there, and you also get a guy that hasn't pitched in what 3 years
Yeah.
in Espino, and then you also have Nacho Alvarez, who is finding his footing in the major leagues in real time, and then he's just going to go continue this in the Arizona Fall League. It's all kind of fascinating to see this hodgepodge of guys that constitute the rosters out in Arizona, and I'm excited to go watch it, man. I mean, us and 200 of our closest friends at
Yeah.
Sloan Park in Mesa.
Yeah, I know that's the craziest part. I'll always say I think this is baseball's best kept secret. Before we jump into the rosters, I do want to talk about the Daniel Espino return, which
Yeah.
was so cool to see. I mean, you can look at the stat line and see when 2/3 of an inning and allowed 3 earned on 3 hits. But to be honest, I thought he looked good. All things considered, I thought he looked really good. I mean, he averaged 98 miles per hour with the fastball. He threw strikes, 21 pitches, 15 strikes. And I mean, some of the hits just had some eyes. I think others, it was just more about him just being focused on throwing it over the plate. I don't think he really cared about results. And then you saw the emotions coming off the mound, but from him, I mean, how could you not be emotional? I can't imagine the road for him with multiple shoulder surgeries. Hasn't thrown, as you alluded to, since 2022. To just to get back there and be on the mound in a game setting was amazing to see. But I thought he looked good. I thought the stuff looked good. I think you really got to look beyond the box score there, but it's encouraging. Hopefully, he can hold this solid velocity. We heard some of the rumblings that he was up to triple digits in bullpens. Maybe that's true. I mean, he was again sitting 98 there, so it was just exciting to see him back and not looking like a shell of himself in an inning. I thought you saw the stuff there, and I'm excited. It just got me even more excited for the Arizona Fall League.
100%, man. And I'm trying to do the actual, I'm trying to Google how many days in between outings it was. It was 1,240. Imagine having what you do for a living ripped away from you for 1,240 days. He went from late April of 2022 until September 20th of 2025 without getting into ball game action. And the fact that he even got 2 outs is amazing. And the fact that he hit 95, let alone 98, is
We
amazing. I
we
mean,
got
this
a
guy,
we got a
that might be the long
99.2, I think we got out of him.
that is that's one of the longest roads to recovery for an injury, like just a standard injury for a pitcher that we've really ever seen, especially from somebody with that kind of prospect pedigree. This guy was a top 2 or 3 pitching prospect in baseball when he got hurt.
Yep. I mean, just to serve a little reminder here, if we give you the game logs of strikeouts in 2021 at High A before, we only saw him for a couple starts in 2022, and that was it. Here's it in order: 12 strikeouts, 10 strikeouts, 11 strikeouts, 10 strikeouts, 7 strikeouts, 5 strikeouts, 10 strikeouts, 10 strikeouts. That's just ridiculous. And he's still 24 years old. He's got plenty of time. And I think the other hurdle is you just imagine it's not like he was just not trying to come back through that whole time. And it was, oh, you're not cleared yet. Oh, you're not cleared yet. There were probably instances where, okay, I'm on my way back. I go to throw. It doesn't feel right. I'm back to square one. That's the part that I just could not imagine the mental aspect of. And then, okay, let's try to throw again. Oh no, you need another surgery. You're all the way back to square zero.
Yeah.
I can't fathom that, and I will endlessly be rooting for Daniel Espino and especially in this Arizona Fall League. So I'm looking forward to that.
it was a quarter of a step forward and three steps back at points. And
Mhm.
like you have to think about how nauseating that is.
Uh,
And typically we're talking about one step forward, two steps backwards. When we say something negative, this was far more drastic than that.
yep, 100%.
All right. You want to get into the rosters here?
Let's do it.
Let's start with the Glendale Desert Dogs. And here's how we're going to do it. We're not just going to list off the rosters for Glendale. We are going to give you the five teams that feed the Glendale Desert Dogs roster, and we're going to go through it by organization. So the five teams that feed Glendale are the Dodgers, the Cardinals, the White Sox, the Braves, and the Blue Jays. I'll start with the Dodger prospects on the Glendale Desert Dogs, and I'm just going to go through the names, and you tell me who jumps out and do the dive, how deep you want to go. Justin Chambers is one of the pitchers that they're sending. So is the Korean Hyun-Suk Jong, who had a lot of prospect pedigree a couple of years ago. Alex Marakevich is going. Peyton Martin is going as well. And then Jacob Wright rounds out the pitchers. And in terms of hitters that they send, Logan Wagner they're sending, and then two outfielders, Josue DePaula, and then, of course, the 100 stolen base man, Kendall George, is going as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the pitchers, and I mean, Hyun Suk Jang, like you're gonna be excited to see that guy no matter what because the stuff is so exciting and he's just a huge human on the mound there. But it's just really all about the command for him, right? He's still just 21 years old, so we'll see if you can trim down that 18% walk rate. But when you got the mid 90s fastball, nasty slider, and the changeup that when it's anywhere near the zone is disgusting. It's just always a player that's going to be intriguing until I think you just until he's not throwing anymore, really. And then the other, Justin Chambers had a really nice year. Looks like another one of those Verdi fastball lefties. And I think really almost any of the arms that the Dodgers are going to send out there are going to have some intrigue. I think even Peyton Martin. I know that the numbers weren't great, but there was some intrigue even just going back to the draft. And you look at some of the underlying numbers in the secondaries. There's definitely some stuff there. And I think about Eric Swan last year, how it was kind of just like a starting ground for him to kind of get the hype going a little bit and kind of build up some excitement around him. And then Jacob Wright, I mean, he was an early, what was it, second or third round pick for them, just a year ago, and did not get to throw a lot this year. Was pretty banged up, but was a guy that I liked out of the draft. He definitely saw an uptick in his fastball when he made his pro debut this year, even with the injury, where he was sitting more 91, 92 at Cal Poly, and this year, in limited action, was sitting closer to the mid 90s. So, yes, it was in shorter spurt relief, but I'm just interested to see what the stuff looks like there. And Wright's probably, is the most highly regarded prospect, him and Jong, of the two, pitchers here. And then you go to the position player side of things, and I mean, Josue DePaula, he looked like he was on the cusp of like really solidifying himself as one of the best offensive prospects in the minor leagues, and then had an injury, and then it just was a little bit of rust to shake off, and then he ended up finishing the year strong. Then he got brought up to Double A, and then kind of struggled as he just tried to get acclimated, and then the season ended. Um, Still a really good year for him. Still a guy that I think is one of the better outfield prospects we have in the game. So that's going to be a player that I think most people are, if you're out there, you're just going to be excited to see, period. And then Kendall George, man, I think George has become overlooked in this system, especially with Mike Sirota, emerging the way that he has, especially after acquiring him, Zaire Hope doing the same, the presence of DePaula. But Kendall George finished the year with an 860 OPS. He slashed 343, 453, 407. And he does not hit the ball hard. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's an EV90 and 96 miles per hour. But
Yeah.
there is some kind of like Chandler Simpson to his game here, and I mean that's a fun player. So I'm just looking forward to getting a live look at him.
The numbers overall are phenomenal. And again, like it was 100 stolen bases this year in the minor leagues, 111 games with high A Great Lakes. He stole 100 bases in 124 attempts. Oh, by the way, he walked more than he struck out, and he walked a lot. Walked 84 times this year, so hit 295 with a 409 on base. How do you view him as a prospect? Because Chandler Simpson at one point became a top 100 prospect in baseball. Like, is Kendall George a top 100 prospect?
I think if Kendall George does this in Double A, yeah, yeah, I do want to see more of the defense. I honestly just haven't seen a ton of him defensively, but it can't be worse than Chandler Simpson. So,
Right.
I think that from that perspective, I think it gives you an idea there. The other thing that's interesting is he's flashed higher EVs. He puts the ball on the ground at a 61% clip, but we saw him at a home run 107 miles per hour this year. So I would say he has top 100 upside if he can, produce like this at the Double A level. And the swing decisions are fantastic, and that's what I like about hitters of this archetype. The new way of being able to succeed. I think a lot of times before it was low walk, spray the ball over the yard, swing at everything. Stuff's
Yep.
too good nowadays. You got to be able to draw your walks, and the defenses are too good. They're going to still get you out. So I love the sub 20 chase to go with this kind of archetype. The slash and dash, and that's what we got here.
Gotcha. Jumping to the St. Louis Cardinals. Who are the Cardinals sending to the Glendale Desert Dogs? Well, pitching wise, it's Tyler Bratz from Florida, DJ Carpenter, big guy, 6'8", 242. Randall Clemente, they're also sending. Chen Wei Lin from Taiwan, they're going to send as well. 6'7", a buck 88 is the listed height and weight. And then you got Darlene Saladin going as well. And then offensively, Grayson Tarlow, a catching prospect. No infielders and the two outfielders they send. Miguel Ugueto, Venezuelan outfielder, and then Travis Honeyman, who was the Boston College kid
Yes.
a couple of years ago, taken near the top of the draft.
Yeah, Chen Wei Lin. I mean, the stuff is pretty significant, but it's just another guy who's battling command issues here, and I think that's going to be interesting to monitor there. But the fastball averaged 97 with Ride, and I mean he struck out a lot of hitters this year, but he also walked a lot of hitters this year. So I just hope he can find the zone a little bit. And it's funny, I think about it. The Arizona Fall League might be one of the scariest places to hit because you got so many of these guys that throw gas that are trying to find the zone. 17% walk rate, but a nearly 30% strikeout rate. And again, that fastball average, 97 for him. So I think that's a guy that I'm definitely excited to just see what he can do out there, see the stuff up close and personal. But I wouldn't say it's as exciting of a pitching crop overall that they're sending out there. Darlene Saladin had some intrigue going into this year as a guy that I thought is a little bit different than some of the other pitchers that we're seeing sent out this way, where I think the field of pitch is a little bit more prominent, but it's more of a ground ball guy. Try to get weak contact, good feel for a changeup, but a little bit more of the high floor, low ceiling guy. But I'm interested to see what it looks like there. And then, the classic kind of depth catcher prospect that gets sent over there. And I don't honestly have a ton on Miguel Ugueto, so give me a second there. But Travis Honeyman, I mean, he was an early round pick that I think a lot of people were interested in and thought could make some waves. Was hurt a lot, and that just continues to seem to be the theme with him, being banged up a ton, and
Yeah.
even in the early going of his pro career. But he turned in a pretty nice season this year, I think. Just given how many reps he's missed out on, and quickly hit his way out of low A. I think showed that he was too good for there, and then put up pretty decent numbers at high A. So you're hoping he can build on that and maybe prove to be like a fourth outfielder type.
Love it. All right, let's go to the White Sox here. The Chicago White Sox, they are sending pitching wise. They send Tyler Davis to Arizona, also Carson Jacobs, 6'9", 215-pound right-hander. Connor McCullough is going as well. And then Hagen Smith is going to the Arizona Fall League, the lefty who is the 5th overall pick in 2024. And then in terms of bats, they send Sam Antonacci, who has a ton of helium right now. Ryan Galaney is going as well. And then, of course, Braden Montgomery, who was acquired as part of that Garrett Crochet deal from Boston, first-round pick out of A&M for the Red Sox last year.
Well, Hagen Smith closed out the year with the best start of his professional career in a postseason outing, so it's not going to count towards his regular season numbers that everyone's going to keep citing through the offseason. But 5 no-hit innings at Chattanooga, 10 strikeouts, 2 walks. I mean, by far the best outing he's had of his pro career. So I'm just eager to see if he can build on that in the fall league. I mean, Hagen Smith's a guy that needs some positivity, I think, going into next year with the way that things went for him this season and the struggles to just throw strikes and whatever else may have been going on there. Connor McCullough is another arm that I just think I'm thinking about what they've been able to kind of build here all of a sudden with the White Sox. And I was thinking Tanner McDougal at first. I thought they were going to send him out there because I thought that'd be a fun guy to be able to see. He was sitting 98 miles per hour with his fastball this year. But I think with some of these other reliever types that they're rolling out there, it might be interesting just to see what they've got here. And I think there could be some emergent arms. I look at Carson Jacobs. Jacobs averaged, you mentioned 6'9", another guy that's battling
Yeah.
command issues, but averaged 96 miles per hour with the fastball with a plus slider. So That's an interesting guy from a 6'9" frame. And then you go to the offensive side of things. Antonacci, you mentioned a lot of helium. That was a guy we liked out of the draft, and now he's starting to really, I think, turn heads with the way that he's not just looking like a slap hitter, contact over everything guy. He's starting to hit more extra base hits, and I think flash some more EVs. Yes, it's still hit over everything, but I think when you are a 90% in zone contact guy and an 18% chase guy, and then you're able to still at least sprinkle in some above average EVs here and there, like the hard hit rate got to nearly 40%. That's
Yep.
more than enough. So I'm just eager to see, in a hitter friendly environment, how much more juice he can tap into out there and see what he flashes. And I think maybe just working with the staffs out there, like what else he can maybe find. If there's even just a half tick that he can gain in the EV department, I think everything else in his offensive game is pretty shored up. Maybe just finding a little bit more loft at times as well. And then Braden Montgomery, I mean, that's another guy that's going to just be one of the more exciting prospects out there. Switch hitter ended up turning in a really nice year with an 804 OPS. I think there was ebbs and flows, and that's I think what you're just going to come to expect with the power hitting, somewhat aggressive switch hitter type. But
Yep.
he can be a monster, and I think it's going to be a good environment for him to just continue to build on what was, I would say mostly a really good year for him with the trade, to start the season off.
Yeah. Two more teams feeding the Glendale Desert Dogs. You got the Atlanta Braves feeding them as well, and then we'll talk about the Toronto Blue Jays. But Atlanta, they're sending Drew Hackenberg, who's been an upper level, like back end starting pitching option for a little bit now. So Hackenberg goes. Jacob Kroger is going as well on the pitching side. LJ McDonough is going as well. And then you got Luke Sinnard, who we talked about, 6'8", 250. The right hander is going. And then Corey Wall is also headed there. And then in terms of offense, Nacho Alvarez is still slated to go, which is absolutely bizarre to me. Jim Jarvis, the former Alabama Crimson Tide, is going, and then Patrick Lohisi is going as well. We'll start with Nacho, and then you can go anywhere else you want to go with these Braves guys. Why is Nacho Alvarez attending the Arizona Fall League? Like, this guy is playing all the time with the Atlanta Braves right now. Obviously, Austin Riley out, but Nacho Alvarez is pretty much their everyday third baseman right now. He's played 53 games in the big leagues this year, and he's like actually getting better. The numbers on the year look okay now. They started brutal, but he's starting to find his footing. That feels like a guy that can absolutely shut it down, but I guess they want more reps.
Or just go play winter ball.
Sure, like go do something else. Go get a nice chunk of change. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the part that's surprising. Like he could go make like 15 grand, 20 grand in a month, go play winter ball. But maybe this is what he wanted to do. I would say like maybe they wanted him close to the facility. Not how it works there. They're based out of Florida. So I don't really know. It is surprising, and like he should hit 350 out there. So
Right.
that's the other part that's tough. Is like if you don't, you're frustrated. But I'm sure there'll be like specific things to focus on there. Maybe they want him getting reps at some other defensive positions. That's the only other thing I can think of, because you're not going to be able to experiment with other defensive positions in the Winter League, in the Dominican, or wherever else it may be, because those games matter. But maybe they want him getting more reps at second base because he hasn't played a ton there. I don't know. That's the thing. Maybe they want him getting more reps at shortstop because he hasn't really played there since 2024. And that was even just in limited action, in the minor leagues. So we'll see. But I thought it was kind of surprising to see him sent out there. Speaking of surprising, Drew Hackenberg, man, I mean, seemed like such a high probability back end starter with the way that he was throwing last year. The numbers this year, and I really do think it was injury related. I think something was up, physically. He missed some time, obviously, so he was hurt. But in terms of the command just not being there for him, like he just seemed like a guy that was going to be able to be around the zone enough and get weak contact. I mean, he walked 15% of batters this year and struck out 19%. And that's even including the rehab outings. If you take those out, he walked 16% and struck out 17%.
Yeah.
Something was off with him this year, and the velo was way down at the end of the season. And that's why I'm kind of surprised that he's getting sent out there. But maybe they're not worried about the velo downtick at the end of the year, and clearly they want him to work on some things there. Luke Sinnard is a guy that we talked about in the Brave system. I think early in this year, it's a guy that was just very intriguing because he's 6'8". I think it's pretty easy velo in the mid 90s. He turned in a nice year. Another guy that did miss time though, about a month and a half, so nothing too serious. And then came back and the velo was holding, if not even a little bit harder. And you pair that fastball in the mid 90s with some good characteristics with a good slider and splitter. It looks like it could be a good arm. So I think just being able to get him more reps out there, that's a guy I'm definitely excited to just see more of on the mound.
Got you. Cool. All right. Last thing we got to talk about as it pertains to the Glendale Desert Dogs. Also, the way we're tracking, we might just spend a whole week doing AFL rosters, like 2 rosters per episode,
Hmm.
because it looks like we're going to be about 25 minutes here on the first team. So that would make sense, right? Like
Yeah,
three
probably.
50-minute episodes. Yeah. So
Probably.
we'll do that. Okay. So the Blue Jays, who do they send to the Glendale Desert Dogs? They send Alex Amalfi on the pitching front. Also Angel Bastardo, who was previously a Red Sox prospect. Bastardo is going as well. Other pitchers that Toronto is sending, they send Kai Peterson and Yandre Rojas as well. And then Che Yeager. Che, I've never seen that name. Chay, but he's from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I should know. But Che Yeager is going to go as well. And then in terms of the position players, Edward Duran, a catcher, is going. Josh Kasevich is going as well. Extreme bat to ball guy, and that is it. So very pitching heavy from Toronto as it pertains to them. Also, like not much prospect intrigue at all with that clump. I mean, Kasevich is really the only name of like serious clout there.
Yeah, and I'm excited for Kasevich because he seemed like he was just really derailed by the injury that really wiped out his whole season. He didn't get back until middle of August, and once he got back, it seemed like he was just not really in any rhythm. And how could he be after such a big layoff? And maybe the injury was just still affecting him some, but. It's easy to forget. Kasevich was one of the better bat to ball guys in the upper minors last year. I mean, we're looking at a 93.5% in zone contact rate with a 45% hard hit rate. I thought he was one of the more underrated bats in the minor leagues last year. And now it didn't totally translate into surface level production. He had a 740 OPS, but you could see that he was just on the cusp of being able to maybe tap into a lot more. So that injury was really disappointing. He's also a solid defender on the left side of the infield. So I still like Kasevich a lot as a prospect, and I'm just hoping he doesn't look like, because I think it was a back injury, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just hoping he doesn't look like something that is going to linger there for him and continue to affect him. And just I think we'll be able to get a better idea of that with live looks. Kai Peterson is a potential left-handed reliever. He throws really bizarre. Like it's just a very weird, almost turns all the way around, slingshots it from the left side, at like a 3/4 or almost sidearm release point. So there's some good funk there. We'll get to see if it works, but that's another player. I'm just excited to see him in left on left matchups because that just seems like a nightmare. And then Yandri Rojas, he's got some loud stuff. That
Cool.
fastball averaged 96 miles per hour this year with great ride. He's got a cutter at 89 that was a really, really nasty pitch. Opponents had a 380 OPS against it. Then he mixes in the sinker and the changeup. Uh, Rojas is a fascinating guy because he was used in relief. I think he could be stretched out a little bit. I don't know if they're going to try that in the AFL, but he's definitely capable of multi-inning relief. And he got a late start to the year being banged up a bit, but he finished the year on a scorcher. His final 18 appearances, which was pretty much split, if not skewed towards double A, he had a 0.39 ERA, struck out 33% of batters, and only walked 7% of batters. I'm pretty sure he didn't allow a single earned run after his first outing in double A. So he closed out the year in double A with 10 appearances, no runs allowed.
Dude.
That's a guy going into the fall league hot.
Yeah, seriously. Okay. And then, I mean, obviously you trust the high octane stuff there as well, which is really, really cool. So it seems like there are some underrated prospects here in
And
Toronto that are going.
I
Yeah.
will say, like, there's going to be arms that I'm going to miss here. Like, I know, like,
Sure.
fans of there's people that like are so tapped into their favorite team's farm system, and they may be like,
Right.
well, what about Alex Amalfi? Like, he finished the year really well. I apologize in advance when we're flying through all these rosters. I probably am going to miss a few guys of intrigue, and that's why I'm going out there. Then I'll go see them, and
Right.
hopefully I'll play catch up there. But one last guy here, Amalfi. The Blue Jays seem to be just stockpiling these guys with fastballs that have good carry. Amalfi's ripping fastballs north of 20 inches of induced vertical break with above average extension as well. And I think that really helped him turn in an impressive season and finish the year really strong also at the Double A level. So at the Blue Jays, man, it's got to be one of the biggest. We talk about the Marlins 180 and hitting development. I think the Blue Jays may have had just as significant of a 180 in their pitching development side of things as well.
I mean, it was what, year ago that we were talking about the Blue Jays like everybody's hurt. How about that? Everybody's hurt. Like they're all made of balsa
And
wood.
no
No,
one's
not
getting
the case.
better. Like it was just not really enjoyable to follow.
I mean, just an entire change of direction to your point. Okay, we're going to get to the Solar Sox roster in a moment, but before that, today's a very special day, Mr. Layton. Today is the release of Bowman Chrome, right? The Bowman Chrome 2025 is coming out,
Yeah.
and that's available through our friends at Lids, huh?
Yeah, you can go to the store right now. There's 101 Lids hobby shops receiving them today. And what's really cool about it is with Topps Chrome being carried at these at Lids, and now you have Bowman Chrome on release day. They have some pretty special setup here where you can pay retail price for these boxes at Lids versus paying marked up prices at secondhand shops or missing out on pre-sales. So just like the Topps Chrome release, we're actually going to have a live box opening and autograph session with a player out there in Arizona when I'm out there. We did that, for the Topps Chrome release with Griffin Conine in Boca Raton, who also special day. He makes his return to the Marlins lineup today. So that's
Yep.
also exciting. But stay tuned for that. We're going to do something fun in the fall league at the Lids location out there. But Bowman Chrome, really fun. We put out a video, I think, with some of the top prospects in that product. There's some guys in the AFL that are in that product as well. It's for the prospect sickos, I always say. Like those are the you're chasing the guys that are, were just balling out at the lower levels, maybe the DSL. But there's some really fun prospects in there, and I think you guys will enjoy chasing those cards. And again, you can go to one of 101 Lids locations that have the hobby shop and be able to get that Bowman Chrome box at retail, which is really hard to find nowadays. I can promise you that. And if you text baseball, just BASEBALL to 29017, you'll receive 20% off your next purchase as well. That's baseball to 29017. You'll receive 20% off your next purchase at Lids.
I'm sure we're going to talk about this more at length, but I was just looking at the checklist. Did I see Kevin DeFrank has an auto in there?
Yes, yes.
That's
Is
big.
that gonna are we? Is that how we're gonna get you on the pitcher cards
I
again?
think I think we're hunting pitcher cards, and it's going to be Kevin DeFrank, the kid in the DSL for the Marlins, is pumping like 101 consistently.
He's
I mean, just
insane.
17-year-old ripping 101. They've got like six kids in the DSL. We had a good conversation with Bill Heasel on the Just Baseball show earlier this year. They've got like six kids in the DR ripping 100 right now, which is just unbelievable. But DeFrank seems like ridiculous. I was looking deeper into this checklist too, and it's like really fun, dude. I see Reynel Rodriguez has a Bowman Chrome Auto in here, and then in terms of international prospects, Andrew Salas is in here, Elian Pena is in here as well. And you could just keep on going.
Joshua
Obviously, Reynel,
Gonzalez, I'm really excited about it. Also, like that, we just
yeah,
talked about him in the Giants system. Bo Davidson, I like the mixture too because you have guys like a Cam Schlittler in there as well to balance it out. So it's not all guys that are a couple years off.
right.
But then you also get the high upside guys that are further off, and I think Rodriguez is going to be the big chase. But yeah, the Marlins have some fun in there, and then I do feel like we got to pick up some Kevin DeFrank cards though,
Yeah,
especially
that
after the
feels good.
conversation we had with Bill Heasel. I feel like we got to grab one or two.
And then you look at, I mean, some of like the big leaguers that have rookie autos in there. Like I see Cade Horton has rookie autos in there. Cam Smith has rookie autos. Dylan Cruz,
I think
Dalton Rushing,
Kurtz.
Kurtz, yeah, Kurtz, James Wood is also in there as well. Roki Sasaki is in there as well. So this is absolutely loaded. Really cool to see.
Yep. And we broke down the whole checklist on the Sports Card CEO, the official collectibles podcast of the Just Baseball network. So go check that out as well.
Cool. All right, let's talk about the Mesa Solar Sox here, who are managed by the godfather of the torpedo, Aaron Lenhart. Lenny is going to be the skipper of the Mesa Solar Sox. I've had some fun with him chatting about that. The Mesa Solar Sox are constructed of Yankees prospects, A's prospects, Marlins prospects, Cubs prospects, and Rays prospects. We'll start with the New York Yankees. Who are they sending? They send Bryce Cunningham, who has a lot of headlines attached to his name Big boy, the right-hander, one of their top pitching prospects. Brady Kirtner is going as well. You also have Houston Morrow going, and then rounding out the pitchers, Cade Smith, not that Cade Smith, but also a good Cade Smith, and then Adam Stone. And in terms of bats, the Yankees are sending Manuel Palencia, Venezuelan catcher. They also send Kobe Morales and Emmanuel Tejeda. Those round out the prospects that the New York Yankees are sending.
They'll probably somehow turn Palencia into a trade chip, right? Um,
Sure.
just
All these guys have the opportunity to get turned into a massive
But
trade chip.
the way they spawn catchers, man, I just now every time I see a Yankees catcher prospect, I'm like, oh, how well is this guy receiving, and how are they going to flip him? But Bryce Cunningham's the name, right? Where I think you got to be most excited to see. I thought he might even get flipped at the deadline because of how good he looked, but then he was hurt. I mean, we didn't really get to see him throw from June 4th until the middle of August. But then he finished the year. They mostly used him in short spurts, I think just kind of building him back up, knowing that the eyes were probably on the AFL ultimately for Cunningham to throw. So I'm eager to see because I thought he looked great before the injury. The fastball looked like a plus pitch. The changeup looked like a potential plus pitch, and then he was even mixing in a couple breaking balls that looked solid. So I'm looking at him as one of the maybe the more well-rounded pitchers that are going to get sent out there. And I know the Yankees are hoping he can kind of build up some more innings after missing so much time. And then Cade Smith's got some good stuff. I know the results have been mixed, but when he's locked in, I mean the fastball can overwhelm hitters with good characteristics, and he's flashed some good strikeout stuff. But I just keep going back to what we could see from Cunningham, and that's a guy that I'm probably most excited about. And then Emmanuel Tejeda, I think, is probably
Yes.
the more intriguing of the two bats, but I don't have a ton on the bats there, to be honest. It'll be another one of those I'll find out in person. But Tejeda walked more than he struck out and turned in a pretty decent year at low A.
Cool. I'm in. Yeah, Bryce Cunningham certainly steals the show in terms of prospects to watch for the New York Yankees. But the A's are sending some guys of intrigue here, including our guy Joshua Kuroda Grauer, Rutgers stand up. The Sacramento A's, the Athletics, are sending a whole bunch of pitchers. Mark Adamak is going as well. Corey Avant is going. Nathan Detmer is headed to the Arizona Fall League. And then Blaze Ponces is going. Pitcher named Blaze, I'm all the way in on. And then the bats, they send Joshua Kuroda Grauer. They send Tommy White. Tommy Tanks is headed out to Arizona. And then Ryan Lasco is headed out to Arizona as well for the Athletics.
Yeah, I think the bats are, where you naturally gravitate towards here. I Tommy White, I want to see the swing, like the setup and some of that tweaked a little bit, but he turned in a nice year still. I think the feel for the barrel has become undeniable. The bat speed's there. It's just I feel like his extremely wide stance and then the no strides with two strikes really undermines some of his more natural ability. So I'm hoping maybe some things will click for him out there. He'll be more incentivized to lift the ball out there. So definitely a player with as much intrigue, I think, as you're going to get from, I think, just the prospect pedigree going all the way back to his freshman year of college. Josh Kuroda Grauer turned in a really nice year, and we talked about him a little bit with the A system way back. But even as I updated it, he was a guy that actually snuck a couple spots up and I think checked in at number 10 because of how good the bat to ball was. And I think there was a lot of questions as to whether he was going to stick at shortstop. And I don't think he's going to be an everyday defensive shortstop, but I thought he looked like a guy that could absolutely get by there now with the way that he's developed. He's so sure-handed. He gets the ball out quick. He looks like he could play every infield position. It was a 92% in zone contact rate this year. And there was enough juice to split the gaps a ton. He had 30 doubles, 33 extra base hits. So I thought it was a really good year from Kuroda Grauer. And at 22 years old, it looks like he's ready to start the year next year in AAA. And I think with a good AFL, could be a call-up candidate at some point next year as a really solid bench utility guy for him that, those guys end up playing more than you expect. So I thought Kuroda Grauer's stock really jumped this year. As much as a guy that's never going to be able to break out fully can have his stock jump, like a guy that's going to
Yeah.
be best enjoyed over 100 games. I think all things considered, he did a really good job of elevating himself.
And all of a sudden, there's minimal space to break into the Athletics lineup. Like they have so many pitching questions, but that lineup going into 2026 is like that's that fun 2K team. Like hey, you randomly select the A's lineup. You randomly select the A's when you're playing MLB The Show. You're going to be very, very happy with that lineup. And Kurtz immediately looks like, oh, I, you know what? I could hold back and not spring this on you, but I think I'm going to do it right now. When we put together our positional top tens going into the 2026 season, Nick Kurtz is the blank first baseman in baseball.
Oh man. I mean,
Is
you,
he third behind
I was gonna
Vladdy
say
and Freeman?
I think he's got to be top three.
Is he ahead of Matt Olson and Pete Alonso?
It's so tough because you see a guy come down to earth just a little bit as a sophomore slump, and it's like, why did we put him ahead of Pete Alonso? But based on this year's performance, he's been the third best first baseman as far as I'm concerned. But he's without a doubt a top five guy. I don't think there's any doubting that. And
No.
I think with what he's done this year, he could darn well be top three.
That is amazing to think about. This guy with what, 110 games under his belt, will have
And barely played in the
steamrolled,
minors. Was
barely played in the minors, will have steamrolled towards American League Rookie of the Year, won it, and is the number three first baseman in baseball ahead of Pete Alonso, who's coming off of 30 homers and 100 ribbies again. And then Matt Olson, who I think is close to 30 homers and 100 ribbies. Where's Olson at right now?
he's had a nice
Matt,
year.
Matt Olson is having a really nice finish of the year. He's at 28 homers, 93 driven in, so he will likely not get there, but like, damn.
Yeah.
So
It's there and the pitching, it's not like they've got nothing on the way pitching wise. Like Gage Jumps on the way.
it's more of a process pitching wise. Offensively, you're actually starting to see the vision like
Yeah.
come to fruition
At
for
least there's
these.
something there though. Like
Yes.
at least you can look back and say, oh, there's stuff on the way. There's players on the way.
100%. All right, let's jump to the Miami Marlins here. Who do the Marlins send? It's a really exciting crop of dudes. In terms of pitching, the Miami Marlins are sending Aiden May, former Oregon State Beaver, who has been hurt for a little bit but looked really good to finish the year. They also send Carson Milbrandt, guy that has been really interesting this year. Xavier Meacham is a reliever. Darwin Rodriguez is also headed out there. And then offensively, they're sending some guys, man. Starlene Caba is going out there. Fenwick Trimble is going out there, who had a really nice season. And then PJ Morlando, their first round pick in 2024, is also going.
Yeah, I think they're sending a really good group. Milbrandt, I thought took a huge leap this year. And the command is still a little bit of a question. He walked about 12% of batters, but he held opponents to a 199 batting average. His cutter looked like a plus pitch. The fastball looked like a plus heater. And he also has a good curveball. Still 21 years old. And I mean, the way that he finished the year, a couple good starts in double A as well, but just striking out the world down the stretch. His final 10 starts, he had a 2.83 ERA and he struck out 34% of batters. So Milbrandt looks like a guy that took a leap here with maybe some of the new pitching philosophy in the Marlins org. I think that the stuff just looks way more optimized and turned in a really impressive season. I know Meacham's flashed some intrigue as a reliever. Aiden May is just an earlier pick that hasn't been able to throw much because of injury. I'm just fascinated to see what he looks like as well. You mentioned that the numbers flash some good things. Also seem to battle command challenges, which is to be expected as you come off of a long layoff. But heavy fastball gets a lot of ground balls, potential for a couple good secondaries. So we just haven't been able to see him. So it's going to be cool to just see him throw. Period. And then I think that's kind of the theme here, right? I mean, Starling Caba missed a lot of time. And then PJ Morlando, Marlins first round pick, we just haven't been able to see much of. It's been a real struggle for him to stay available. I I know the numbers haven't been great, but we've seen some good swings from him. We've seen some good weeks from him, but he just has not been able to stay available to put it all together. So first round pick, man, like you want to see those guys play. And I think he's going to be another draw there. And then Starlene Caba, the key return, in that Jesus Luzardo trade. The thing with Caba is he doesn't even need to be much more than a 680 OPS to be a really good big leaguer. So
Right.
one, I can't wait to just see him in action defensively consistently out there. But
Yeah.
two, I'm very fascinated to see how he can potentially close the gap, hopefully, in his switch hitting. Because from the right side, I know it's a small sample, but he was 12 for 36 this year with four doubles and a 45% hard hit rate from the right side. From the
Hmm.
left side, he was 31 for 158. It's a 196 batting average with a 27% hard hit rate. So if he can find a way to find some of the cues that are working from the right side and translate that to the left side. If he's a league average hitter with his defense and speed, he's going to be a special player. So I think that's just a guy that you're hoping can take another step in the right direction out there. And then Trimble had a great year, anyways. I think it's just he missed a little bit of time, but I think also Trimble's just a guy that's really elevated himself in that Marlins system. And I think they want him to just continue to build on that in the fall league. He just looks like a really well rounded prospect.
Yeah, Kaba is. I'm excited for you to get some live looks at Starlene Kaba because him defensively is like a different process. It's funny because like baseball is one where you feel like if you make the boring play all the time, you're really good defensively. There are some very good defenders in Major League Baseball that don't stick out. They just like do everything really well. Like Dansby Swanson,
Yeah, Dansby.
right? You're not showing up to the ballpark and it's like, wow, I can't wait to watch Dansby Swanson play defense. It's just he never makes errors. Starlene Kaba, it's like a different level. I don't know how to describe it. Like there really isn't a good way to go about describing it, but it just looks like a better version of the thing that we have been classically trained to just know. Like, oh, we know how shortstops take ground balls. Kaba looks slightly different doing that in like a better way. It's like, oh, he has a PhD in ground balls already.
Well, he was saying too, like his process, he spends more time preparing defensively than offensively every game, which is quite evident. So then you just think about, okay, well, I'm excited to see how much more there is there offensively
Offensively.
too, as you just continue to refine that preparation and what goes into that. But you can
Yeah.
tell he takes a lot of pride in the way he defends, and with the infield outfields and stuff that they'll do sometimes in the fall league too, it'll be cool to see him do that and see him in action.
Yep. Two more teams to talk about. The Chicago Cubs feed the Mesa Solar Sox as well. And the Chicago Cubs, pitching wise, they send Thomas Mangus. He is going. Luis Martinez Gomez is also going. Cohen Moreno is headed out there. Matthew Peters is going out there. And then JP Wheat is going to the Arizona Fall League as well. Position player wise, Owen Ayers, one of the catchers, is going out there. Ed Howard, first round pick from what, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, is going. Cole Mathis is also headed out there as well. And that is it from the Cubs front. So, really, nobody at the top of their prospect ranks. Howard, from like a backwards, can you backdoor a debut perspective is interesting, I guess. But even then, it's probably looking unlikely at this point. Does anyone jump out to you in this group?
JP Wheat throws really hard.
Okay.
I've seen this guy up to 102, but then he didn't throw after May 18th. So dealt with some injury there. But early in the year, I mean, he was averaging 98, 99 with the fastball. So I I want to see what it looks like after injury, but he throws real hard with a nasty slider. He's a reliever ultimately, so I wonder if they just try to use him more in a relief role instead of trying to stretch him out as a starter and see what that stuff looks like because he might sit 100 as a reliever with the wipeout slider, and maybe that command can come along enough. It's crazy the Ed Howard story because part of me wonders, was he overdrafted? Maybe, but he also had that hip issue, pretty terrible hip injury right at the start of his career that never really got him a chance to build on anything. And I wonder just how much that's affected him long term. And he's barely played this year as well. So I just, at the very least, I just want to see him have a string of success, whether it results in a big league call up or not. Like it would just be nice to see him have some fun out there in the Arizona Fall League, right? And just
Yeah.
have a good 25 games and then ride that into next year and see what happens. But the good news is he's still on the younger side because he was a high school draftee, he's still just 23 years old. And you hear nothing but good things about the makeup. It sucks that he is just really not been able to stay on the field, and when he has been on the field, it just hasn't looked good. So part of me always wonders, was he maybe never that good, or did the injury derail him? I think it's a little bit of both, and he could have been still a solid player, and the injuries have just really roughed him up. So I'm hoping something can come along here, and at least just have some positivity here in the final little bit here. Thomas Mangus walks a lot of guys. I didn't really see anything of major intrigue there. And then Cohen Moreno is another guy that I don't know if there's anything specific that I'm looking for because he threw 4 or 5 appearances and it was 90 to 91. So there's not a ton of intrigue coming from this Cubs group, I would say.
Yeah. That is not the case with the group that the Tampa Bay Rays are sending. The Rays, like, it's always fun to see who Tampa sends. And again, They may not be the number one system in baseball, but they're always darn near the top. Like, would you say Tampa is a top five farm system in baseball right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, dude, and like it's like clockwork. They're always there. In terms of pitchers that Tampa is sending, Jackson Bomeister is going. Bomeister, plenty of intrigue there, former Orioles draft pick. Jaden Berkovich is going as well. Andrew Lindsay has a fun backstory. I got to remind myself of the backstory there, but Lindsay, he is going representing the Tampa Bay Rays. Jonathan Russell is also headed out to Arizona representing the Tampa Bay Rays. And then in terms of bats that they send, Braden Taylor is going. Mason Auer is going, and Braylor Guerrero is headed out there as well, alongside Aiden Smith, who was part of that Randy Arozarena deal with Brody Hopkins. This is a loaded group of guys going from Tampa.
Yeah, Bomeister made a start on May 30th and then didn't throw again until August 24th. So it's just a matter of making up some innings here. But when he returned, it was August 17th, excuse me. When he returned, he made 5 starts in Double A. He allowed 2 earned runs in 23 innings. So he looks great. 23 years old, the guy that we were talking a lot about last year, he got off to a really rough start at the beginning of this year and then the injury. So you wonder if that was contributing to that because when he came back, he was so good. That's what I want to find out here. Uh, but a guy that we were talking about is a great acquisition for this Rays org that we thought he kind of fit the bill for them and seems like a high probability back into the rotation starter. So just seeing if he could build on that success at the end of the year, I think will be important to monitor there. There's always some reliever I've never heard of that ends up being really nasty that they send out there. But you mentioned Andrew Lindsay. I believe he was attached in that. Was it in that Xavier Edwards deal as well? Or was
It
it
was it was Calvin
Calvin
Fauché
Calvin
and Vidal
Fauché?
Brujan. Yeah,
It was Fauché and Brujan.
it was Fauché and Brujan, and I just got a glimpse of the backstory. The whole article is behind a paywall, but Andrew Lindsay, he gave up baseball after I think his freshman year at college, and then he was working at like the public works department in his hometown, and then he started throwing again. Like I think he was just kind of like a quasi pitching coach. He fell back in love with pitching. He went to Tennessee, walked on, and was amazing at Tennessee. Became a rotation arm for them, and then the Marlins drafted him, and he was part of that Fauché trade. So that was the whole backstory there.
Yeah, I remember it now. And just been hurt. That's really just been it. I mean, he only threw 2 appearances in 2024, and then we saw him return in June of 2025 and shaking off rust. Was it TJ? Do you know?
I
Able
think
to
it
see that?
was. I don't see it.
But whatever it was, kept him out for over a year. So the results were just kind of mixed. I think he's a very fascinating relief candidate here, where it's a low release, super heavy fastball that can get like 17, 18 inches of horizontal, slider working the other way off of it. Just weird. And I think that's what the Rays will often target here. And then the bats, I think, is a really exciting group. Braylor Guerrero was a guy that was a top 100 prospect for us at the start of the season, and I can't quit this kid. But
Yeah.
man, is it hard given how difficult it has been for him to stay on the field. And he played more games than normal this year, I think, than what we're used to from him. But he still missed a good chunk of the season. He got hurt on June 13th and then didn't return to action until August 21st. So lost a good bit of time there. But when he did return at low A, he did finish the year strong. Upon returning, played 14 games at 304 with an 803 OPS. We've talked about him since he was 17 years old, putting up some of the more elite exit velocities you're going to see from a 19-year-old or 18-year-old or 17-year-old at the time. And even in this year where he played 51 games, he put up an EV90 of 109 miles per hour and a hard hit rate of 52% with good speed. Special tools here. Just can he stay healthy? Can he stay on the field? And then with that, can he hit enough? And that those are going to be the two big questions there. But man, I'm looking forward to just seeing him because he's a physical 19-year-old. Aiden Smith finished the year strong, if I'm not mistaken, and he came over in that Arozarena deal. He's a really tooled up outfielder that if it all comes together, you're so excited about. Uh, I think he's very polarizing for that reason. We've seen him hit
Yeah.
home runs as high as 113, 114 miles an hour, but the hard hit rate is sub 40% because he's not getting to it as consistently as he should. He can really go get it in center field, and I think that's helps his profile obviously a good bit. Finished the year strong, 20 games, 308, 379, 500 slash line, and he didn't turn 21 until the end of July. So doing that in high A still has all the time in the world, and this is just a prime candidate to just get more reps to, right? I mean, I don't think there's a better candidate than Mason or Aiden Smith, and then
Yeah.
Mason Hour was somebody that was building a lot of intrigue, I think, as a hitter. When you just saw what he was doing. Was it in the fall league a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken?
I think so.
Am I also not mistaken that they had him pitch this year?
Let's see. They had him throw 6 times. In 5 2/3, he walked 10 and allowed 9 hits.
Because he's listed as an outfielder, but he didn't
Yeah,
hit this year.
he didn't hit, but he pitched 6 times in low A.
So I think he's pitching out there, no?
I have no idea.
So here's the interesting thing. Our is tooled beyond belief. Like he is a muscle hamster that can fly, that we saw flash plus EVs, but he had a brutal 2023 after a good, I believe it was fall league. Uh, Not a good 2024, and the swing and miss was just too prominent. And then we didn't really see him in 2025. I think he's a pitcher now. I don't know how we missed that chapter in the book, but
Huh,
fastball averaged 93 miles per hour this year. And this is just why the fall league is so much fun. Actually, it averaged 94. And he's got a cutter he's working on. So see what it looks like.
dude. All right. Have fun,
I
Mason
love
Hour.
baseball, man.
So weird.
It's
That's our
baseball's amazing.
program. Next episode, we got, let's see, Peoria and I think Salt River as well. Peoria, a couple of guys that we're going to talk about there. Pitching wise, not really much intrigue, but Alfredo Duno and Ethan Salas are on that team. Cam Collier is on that team as well as Johnny Farmello and Enrique Bradfield. And then Salt River, that's the Charlie Condons of the world. That's Condon. That's who else? It's Merlin Valdez with Pittsburgh. You got Johan Fran Garcia, the username, the brother of the
The
password. Uh,
username.
and then a couple other guys. Dre Jameson is also headed out to the Arizona Fall League for Salt River.
One last shout just on this roster. Cubs right-hander Matthew Peters. He missed some time with injury and then returned back to the mound in the start of August and looked pretty sharp. I mean, the stuff looked pretty good. I did a high walk rate, but the fastball was sitting in the upper 90s. 24-year-old in low A. But in terms of the stuff, I think they're sending him there for a reason to see if he can harness it enough to then be a guy that they fast track through the minors. So we'll see on that front as well. But yeah, just found out Mason Hour is a pitcher in real time today. So
That's
I don't
great.
again, I don't know how I missed that, but that is going to be another fun wrinkle that I can't miss Mason Hour throwing out there. It's going to
No.
be priority watching. And then Luis Martinez Gomez for the Cubs,
Hmm.
the other right-hander. He finished the year 15 appearances, 27 innings, 2 earned runs, 29 strikeouts, a 0.67 ERA between low A and high A. So uh, another arm that might be underrated in the Cubs system that they could move a little bit quickly to with a good fastball. So we'll see. But yeah, I think some of the rosters that we have ahead are really loaded, and I'm excited to get into them.
Cool.
That'll do it. We'll talk more AFL with you throughout the week.